There are some things that locomotives are joining during this agreement, with a Genius Special Awards. Now, if anyone is telling me that BNSF and CSX are joining since Union Pacific, and Norfolk Southern is joining together, I tell you in the video. BNSF and CSX are mainly have different things that paint schemes is H1, H2, and H3, and YN1, YN2, and YN3. Since CPKC was already joined the Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern is mainly joining now, because everyone is freaking out for this, and I am freaking out for this. In the 1990s, the BNSF Warbonnet was a painted scheme on it since it was the oldest locomotives, and recently, the BNSF 90 Warbonnet was put into the Illinois Railway Museum. When people like the Warbonnet, the locomotives was the C40-8, ACC for CW, SD70MAC, and tons of locomotives. Shout out to YESHUA, the BNSF railfan, who is a fan of BNSF and railfan stuff. Others than a Warbonnet, the BNSF Bluebonnet was in the 90s too. Before the green BNSF locomotive was recently put in the 2000s, a couple of BNSF ACC for CW were sold it to GECX, and BNSF SD40-2s were sold it to HLCX, which means it's still in BNSF paint scheme. And ABNSF C40-8WS were put into a deadline in Justin, Texas. They don't want to sold it to HLCX. Most of them are sold it till Tex, and some of them were scrapped. And sadly, they tried to put into a scrap yard waiting to be scrapped. Who knows that BNSF and CSX are mainly formed by the heritage locomotives on United States of America. The BNSF C40-8WS were sold it to Canadian National, which means it's difficult that they were put into a scrap yard. Pure LX H2SD70MAC was still a BNSF H2SD70MAC when trains already crashed. 8876 was a BNSF SD70MAC, and it was scrapped before it got retired. Thought out to be an SF, and Canadian National tried to fail joining together, was still tuning on. All kinds of CSX paint schemes of the locomotive is in 1, in 2, and in 3. When CSX 4621 was a YN1 paint scheme, some SD40- to south were mainly formed like a gray scheme. And then, the CSX C40-8 was the CSX 7587, and it was repainted in 3 when the CSX Cheesy System 7587 was painted in the nose. Others with the Cheesy System, the Conrail was mainly formed by the CSX locomotives of SD40-2, B40-8, and C40-8, and finally SD8 OMAC and SD70MAC and SD70. The CSX B40-8 was built from Conrail from the numbers 5950 and 5979. Some were so sold it to Manual Equipment Central and CSX C40-8s, which means it was sold it to the Create Panam Railway CSX 1981. Before CSX and BNSF has heritage units.